Hello everyone, it's Ben from the NerdKicks team. It's been a while since I've done a recording like this. There's a few coming out soon. Recently we did a farming simulator video, the NerdKicks team, so hopefully keep an eye on the channel for that one. We're back into flight sim. It's been a while since I've recorded a flight sim one. I've missed my flying. It's been work's been very busy, so a lot of focus on that at the minute, which is what we need to do, pay those bills. But I thought I had a spare hour just to jump into the HondaJet, completely away from my UK around the outside tour. From the GA standpoint, I quite like the business jets. I think they're good fun to fly, especially this Flight FX. I've been trying to get my head around it with the Garmin stuff inside and the GT, and it's really good fun. The flight today is going to be relatively, let's say, short. It's part of the Fly UK virtual airline group I'm part of. It's a great little group, great little community. It enables you just to kind of give you a little bit of fun building hours and doing some extra stuff that you normally do. They've got what I'm doing here as part of one of their world tours under the flying club tours. It gives you that, instead of having to route through all your different flights and all these different ways of flying, it gives you just like a structured set of flying, which is really nice. One of these this tour that I'm doing today is it's one of the Biz Jets tours for Fly UK. It's the Australasia tour. It's the first leg. It's something else. It's on the complete other side of the world to where I am, real life. It's in New Zealand. It starts in New Zealand and goes pretty much hops all the way around New Zealand and the islands and the area down in that side of the world. So the first hop today is from Christchurch to Auckland. Auckland, however you say it. It should be about an hour in the air, and this is the HondaJet, so it's a little bit different from the GA. It's not as advanced in tech as some of the big guns in there, such as your A320s and your Boeings and your Airbuses and stuff like that. So it's good fun to fly. And over there at the minute, I like to do real world time, as you can see in the sim. Sun's just coming up. I think it's about 7:30 over there at the minute in sim time. I'm trying to match it as best as I can, so hopefully by the time we get over to Auckland, the scenery should really kick in, and hopefully we'll see a sunrise and see what the flight sim can give us today. So just to bring up the route of what we're going to fly today, hopefully you'll see that on the screen. Again, if you've not used the Navigraph app and the tools, start to using them. They're fantastic. A couple more releases over the past couple of days with the takeoff and landing tool set, which is really good. For the small subscription fee, you'll get a lot out of it, especially from a flight simulation perspective. But we start down in Christchurch. If I just bring us out a little bit, start all the way down here on the east coast of New Zealand, and we fly over all the way up, pretty much hugging the east coast as much as we can, and then we hop over to the other part, and we literally then flip over to the west coast, all the way down into Auckland, up here, which is hanging off the edge here. I said it's about an hour roughly to get there, which is hopefully quite nice. So it should be a nice little flight time to have a look around, get some in the air, show you what some of the HondaJet stuff does. Again, I won't bore you to death because I'm in it for the flying, not the teaching. Maybe that'll come later on. But active runway today, as you can see, is runway 29, and that's down here. Luckily the HondaJet can get up pretty quickly, so it's a shorter runway, but definitely up for doing that. It's a western approach straight out of the airport. And I landed us pretty much close to the taxi point, so we don't have to taxi too far. So yeah, let's get going. So if we jump into the HondaJet itself, everything's pretty much cold and dark. Straight away you got this nice little flashlight to see what you're doing. Let's get rid of the yoke there. So there's a checklist built into the HondaJet, which is really handy, but obviously you can't use it at the minute until everything's booted up. So we're coming to here, batteries on, gives us a little bit of power, and we'll turn on the external power, which is automatically connected for us. Let's just give that a second to boot up, and on the right hand side bring up these Garmin systems, which are quite nice. So let it go, give us a second to kick in. Okay, so pretty much everything gets done from the controls down here. There's two variations at Flight FX model. There's a light version of this and a heavy version. So the heavy version is a little bit more system intensive, but it splits the basically the panels side by side, so they are separate in what they do. The light version mimics both sides, so you only use one. So what we can do, it's been a while since I've poked around here, but aircraft systems, system controls, and we can turn on the lights inside here. So turn up the cockpit lights, we can see what we're doing. See straight away, a little bit more view there. Turn on these footwells, co-pilot footwells, obviously we'll turn them off when we get into the air as well. The good thing about it is, since we're there now, the first thing we'll always end up doing is basically a cockpit preparation checklist. It's all automatic, does it for you. This does have SimBrief integration as well, which I've already planned the route, which I showed you on my Navigraph charts just there as well already. But we can come into the checklist, which is what I like here. So you can have these, this is where it gets a little bit confusing, because you have two sides. You've got this purple side and you've got this blue side here. They're controlled by this the little knob and turn here. So I can bring that back if I turn that to full, which is usually the way I like it, but have the map on there for now until I get my flight plan in. And if I move this blue one over here, I can have my checklist pop up on the side here. As you know, you can't see it, but I've got a lot of equipment on the outside, which is quite nice to use. So starting with the checklist, nice and easy. Batteries switched on, which is great. Oxygen over here is checked. We push it in to bring some oxygen in and norm. Pressurization is down and norm. The aircraft stays in its state I left it, so hopefully I've not really touched too much here. So pressurization is in the norm. The electrical system's on the norm. ELT is here. Nose wheel steering is norm as well, which is here. Nice little norm. Landing gear confirm is down, which is it's here. They've not done the alternative landing gear here, but pulled out is locked on, which is good. We don't have the alternate gear handle. Park and brake is set. The flaps are currently up all the way. Thrust levers are cut off, so there's no fuel going in. The speed brake is retracted. It's wise just to kind of give that a little bit of a wiggle just to make sure it works. There we go. Ice protection, it's pretty warm out there today, so we don't need any of that. Fuel panel is all norm. Our trims, we set our trims to 4 on the display for takeoff, so it's in the little green arc just there, otherwise it complains at you. Windshield heat panel's all norm. This is all the stuff that's down here. None of this is touched. It's a great thing about the HondaJet. They want to make the load very easy. Pneumatic panel's norm. Glare shield norm. Chime is normal and dark. That's up here. And that's just lighting up at us. Now we do the avionics initialization. So we come into here. We go into... let's just come back a little bit. I think it's this one. No, I've lost where I am. Sim options, go to initialization. While I'm here, I'll just put the fuel in. So using SimBrief just to give me a little bit of help. So en route burn is £909. Block fuel is 2,350. I think they kind of I don't know if SimBrief is expected a long taxi or a long at this airport. So I think we'll be okay. But en route, I'm not too sure what it's given us. So just to be safe, let's do what it's recommending. So our block fuel is 2,350 there, and today we've got 5 passengers with no payload, so they're traveling light. So once that's all done, we can go to the initialization and go into system tests, and we hit the pre-flight button. What it does everything for you. Just does all your tests. So stall protection, fire, all your switches, everything, just to make sure everything's okay. Okay, so everything's down there. All the tests come back complete. We can come back, weight and fuel. So we can sync all this from the sim. All the stuff that I've just put in the aircraft there, and all the information that comes through pulls back through to the system here, which is quite handy for us. That one's done, and we can set our speed bugs. So from takeoff, again, we can get them all from the sim, so we don't have to do any manual calculations. And we turn all the speed bugs on, and they basically appear on the MFD here of when we can rotate in our V1s and V2s. So that's all that done. Back to the checklist. Avionics checklist initialization is done. On to the next one. Passenger briefing. You know, it's not real world. Hold on to your butts. It's done. Rudder pedals adjusted, don't worry about them. Seat belts, signs and seat belts, and the doors. So inside of here again, everything's done by this singular view. It's sim options, so we want to have a quick look at the outside. Probably get a bit lighter now, so you can see just barely in the darkness here. So we've got the doors and the cargo at the front open. So we're going to close the main door, close the rear cargo, and close the front, and we keep these two on. So we have another quick look. There we go. Close it up, and then seat belts and seatbelt signs. So again, I think it's under interior lights. Seat belts are already, and the no smoking signs are on automatically, so we're good to go on that one. Park and brake again is set. CCAS messages, there's a few on here at the minute because we haven't started the engines, but hopefully they will go. Electrical volts, 2.3 volts minimum. If we have a quick look here, 29 volts in the batteries, in the bus batteries, which is fine, and we start the engine from here. So have a quick look out the side. Pretty clear. Not put any traffic on or anything today, just to kind of get back into the swing of it, which is quite nice. So yeah, so pretty much easy. Is one button start in this aircraft, and you introduce fuel. So we start the right engine first. It's connected to my my Thrustmaster stuff. So I'll click my little button here on the outside. This goes green, and we start to see some N2 coming in. Oil pressure's rising. When this hits around about 10 and 1, we'll introduce some fuel. And there it is. Bring some fuel in. It starts to bring up, so as you can see this cut off down the bottom and fuel in the top. We let that spool up. Everything's coming up in the green. Look, nothing to worry about there. They do model some errors in this and some failures, so it's always good to keep an eye on it. We're good on that, so we're going to start the first engine now. Wait for this to get in the green again. Around about 10, in comes the fuel. As we see, all the CCAS, all the MFD messages are disappearing, which is quite what we like. Now we've got the engine spooled up. We've got some. We can basically turn the cabin power for the people in the back, and we can turn the external power off, which does it automatically for you anyway. Flips it over. So everything looks pretty good there. Two engine starts are good. We've checked our engine instruments. Everything's in the green there. Nothing's glaringly obvious at us. Engine anti-ice is required. We don't need that at the minute because it's quite warm. External power is already disconnected, and our flight control is free and easy. So I've got rid of mine here. If we just have a quick look outside, everything's moving around. So we are done. So before taxi checklist, start again. Before taxi checklist, wing anti-ice as required. Transponder code is down here. So just come into here again. Everything's done on here. We'll keep it at 7,000 for now because I'm not really using it today. But I tend to put it on straight away, even if no one's really worried about it. Flight ID is confirmed. It's in the top right hand corner here. This is taken from the sim. Flight plan, so we can come into here, go into sim brief, and we can request the latest plan from sim brief, which is what I've already done, and import it. And this will then start to show on the map here, which is quite nice. So we're coming out of runway 29 today. If we click the procedures, it's the Cabo 5 Romeo departure, transition into Glen, and then we pretty much follow all the way up, and we'll worry about the arrival and approach back on when we get there. It's been a while since I've flown this, but the flight level change, basically the plane, there is an auto throttle on it. It is rudimentary as it is, it doesn't auto adjust it. Pretty much uses the dynamics of the plane to control the speed, but pretty much what happens is you'll switch it on and it will just bank the aircraft for best glide going up. Rate of climb usually about 210 it tries to pitch for, which is the best rate of climb in this aircraft. You can change that in the settings. Again, it's been a while since I've done it, but you've also got vertical nav on here as well from when we come down, which is quite nice. Works out your top of descent and tries to get us nicely down to where we need to be. But these climb schedules here, you can change these climb schedules so you can get up quicker, you can define it yourself, but we stick to maximum rate climb just to get up into the ether. We've got some restrictions on the way out as well, which it will adhere to, which is quite nice. So yeah, that's pretty much in there and good to go. So runway 29. Let's just have a quick look at the departure. Transition going into good old sim brief. I'm glad they brought this in. It was fun putting it in yourself, but at one point, but you know, it's all about ease, especially with the HondaJet, which is what we like. So on the right here, we can split this into two. So if I can remember, I should be able to bring across this side and then hit map and then make that full. So I like to have it like this. You get this vertical situation display, which kind of gives me where my limits are, where I'm going to be at. You know, a lot of these, as long as you're above, it's pretty much good. Keeps everything in one view for me, and I can then adjust in and out with the rotate knob there. This one. There we go. You can see our flight's all the way up, and there's the transition again at the top there. Okay, flight plan's good to go. This is what I'm saying. You've got to be careful. You've got to make sure you're on the right screen that you're clicking. There we go. Navigation source is set. We'll go with FMS here. We can change this later on. Localizer 1 and 2 when we come for our descent to pick up the localizer. Altimeters locally. We'll do a little cheat. We'll push B to set them locally. 2994. We've set our flaps for takeoff, which we'll do. So we'll bring that down to takeoff there. Speed brake is checked and retracted. Again, I did that earlier because it's a force of habit, but extended and retracted for takeoff. Cabin silence is required. Everything's good to go, and we release the park and brake and we move. So when we get moving, we'll test the brakes, nose wheel steering. Hopefully we don't go straight into a wall, and some of the flight instruments. So let's do that now. Just before I do set off, I will set the autopilot up a little bit. So altitude set first. If we bring this up, we're going up to flight level 3, I think it's 370 I put in today, recommended. Let me just check. Yeah, flight level 370. And again, VNAV is not really there. We'll do a flight level change. Speed select, we'll use the FMS to determine the speed. Again, at that best rate of climb for us to get up. Turn the flight director on. Everything pretty much comes alive when you click these buttons on the top here, which is quite nice. Yeah, nav mode, which is we'll put by default. So when we take off, we'll probably get to around about 1500 feet, and I'll engage the autopilot, and off it goes. And your damper on, ready to go. So altitude select is good. We've got that dialed in, and we should be good. Force of habit, again, some of the YouTube videos out there, which is really handy to watch. There's a lot more out there, much better than me. They really get you immersed into it and try to get you into that flow of how to do it. So things like every time we're changing and we're going a different heading, to reset the heading select bug to where we are. Little push of the button sinks you in the middle for you. Little things like that can help, which is quite good fun. So we're on the ground. Let's just go back to here. So what we're going to do, we'll taxi pretty much behind us, just behind us here, and we'll come back to runway 29. We'll hold it F1 just to do the last checks. So I'm just going to swing around to the left. Actually, I might do it right because that guy's right there. And yeah, this is why I put us there, nice and easy to the front. So let's go. So park and brake comes off. Reset, slightly increase the throttles. Needs a little bit of oomph to get this off the ground. So I'll quick look outside. See, the sun's coming up, which is quite nice. I'm glad kind of doing it like this because it's and around we come. So we've got nose wheel steering because we're moving to the left. There you go. The taxi / landing lights are on. All automatic in the HondaJet. Does it all for you. You can switch it all off and do it manually if you like. There's no harm in that whatsoever. Again, it's all about ease for Honda. Quick test of the brakes. They work. As you can see, it's turned off because it thinks I've stopped. So brakes are good. Nose wheel steering and our flight arrangements are good. So we'll just get to the holding point now. I've never flown this side of the pond. This is literally the furthest away you can get from me in real life. So it's going to be nice to see some different scenery and just see what it's like out there. So Okay, we're at the holding point now, nice and quick and easy. So we'll just hold here. There we go. And just put the parking brake on just for a second. So before takeoff checklist, flaps are set, that's good. Trims are set, we've already did that, 4 in the green. Our speed brake is retracted. CAS messages, nothing on there, which is nice. Navigation is set, already done some of the pre-work up the top here on the for the autopilot. Flight guidance is set. Told data is all confirmed. That means it's all about, I think the told data is, it's up here somewhere. If anyone knows, let me know. It's been a while. Takeoff briefing's complete. We're going to kick it and go. Radar and ice protection, we don't need any of that. So what we'll do is we'll line up, we'll do full throttle, we'll rotate, we'll probably fly it manually for a little bit, and then we'll kick in the autopilot, and then we'll come back to the after takeoff checklist. So parking brake off, let's get going. Quick left and right, nothing coming in. Hope not anyway. Be a bit of a problem if they were. Okay, so we'll bring it up 20-30%. Look at all the T's and P's in the green. If nothing's yelling at me or telling me to stop, off we go. So hold here, bring us up. Then it's nice and clear. Foot off the brake, full throttle, and I turn on the auto throttle at this point. Keeping our eyes down that runway, and off we go. She wants to get up quick, which is really nice. Very versatile on this one. I'd love to fly this in real life, just to get my hands on it and try it. Just to be in one would be nice. There's the V1. And there's the rotate. Up we come. Transponder's kicking off, because I need to put that back into TA, which I'll do in a second. But we've got a positive rate. We'll put the gear up. I'm going to climb to about 150 knots, and then I'll bring the flaps up. Just kinda, I went overboard with it there. Slight turn to the right. There we go, 150, we'll bring the flaps up. And we're passing 1,000 feet. I'll engage the autopilot now. Autopilot's in charge. It's going to pitch the aircraft to try and get to 210 now. Probably busted one of the flight restrictions, that's why it's doing it here. Let's just change that TCAS transponder to TA. Let's give it an auto, see what it does for me. I think that does the same. Here we go, it's pitching ever so slightly for 210. So I've got to hit flight level change. That's the one thing I forgot. Just to bust the restrictions, we don't have to follow it. Let's just go up and go for it. Up to 37. That should allow us to get up pretty nifty. As you can see, it really can climb very quickly. It's got some power in it. Just zoom in a little bit there so we can see. This is vertical display here. Out a little bit. Come across. Okay, we're off. So after takeoff checks, landing gear is up, your damper is on, flaps are up, thrust levels are MCT. We're basically on auto throttle mode now, which is good. Flight guidance is required, no ice protection and cabin signs, that's required. So basically what we do, we get to 10,000, the landing lights will go off. Transition here is 6,500, so I'll flip this over manually when we pass that. Look at that view. Look. The scenery in here is so much better than the UK. It just looks so different. Very different, look. It's great in the sunrise as well, so. Up Up we go. So I said it's pitching for 210, best rate of climb to get us up as quickly as we can. Check the pressurization now. Now we're getting high. The cabin pressure is adapting automatically. Again, HondaJet does it all for you. Click of a button, and we're going to go to standard in a second, which is, we'll go for about now, and we're in standard reference. So, and off we go. So we'll pass at 10,000 feet. The lights will go off. Let's give you a view of the outside as well, which is quite nice. So Waikuku Beach is on the right, apparently. It's a bit of a landmark point down there. And Clarkville, this little town down here on the right where we're going over. So we're going to hug the coast all the way up. And then we kind of come inland when we get to... There's a lot of beaches over here. Again, compared to the UK, where it's very different. And we'll hug it all the way up. So what I'll do is cut it a little bit there. Maybe I'll come back when we level off at flight level 370. Yeah, and we'll go from there. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, we've just pretty much passed our exit of the zone, which is Glen, our transition. I thought I'd just pipe up and show you someone else in the sky there. So we are currently passing flight level 270. up to 370, so 10,000 to go. When we get there, we should get a little bit nose down and we'll speed up to our cruise. So yeah, hopefully we're on our way. When all that's done, pretty much the Garmin does all the the fun stuff with its vertical nav profile, works out our top of descent, our rate when we got to start coming down. So when we get to that point, we'll look over it and then already start planning our descent ahead of the game. So see you in a bit. Okay, we've approached our altitude, 37, flight over 370, 37,000 feet, and the aircraft is increasing its speed, which is nice. Get her a little bit quicker. Straight away we can see our vertical situation display, which is quite nice and level now. This is what I like to see here, but also what's the bit that always stands out for me is this bit here. So the VNAV profile is basically telling me in 28 minutes, which will shorten because we are speeding up, so I'm probably thinking about maybe 25 minutes by the time we get there, is our top of descent, and we'll start coming down. So it really is as simple as that. When we get to that point, we'll drop our altitude down here in the MFD, and we basically hit VNAV just prior to top of it, and it starts to bring us down nice and gentle, which is really quite handy. So while we're speeding up, let's have a quick look where we are. So we are currently approaching a Gulov here, and yeah, so we'll be coming over the water shortly and then flip over to the west coast. We hug that all the way up into Auckland here. Navigraph has given us a little kind of entry point here, which is quite nice. So it swings us out, avoiding most of the built up areas by the looks of it here, and we come into runway 23 left. Currently the weather there looks pretty good. We've got an 18 knot headwind, 7 knot crosswind, so 23 left is the one to come in. Just have a quick look, see where we're at. Okay, so we're over the water now, which is the bridge gap. Our top of descent is now in 17 minutes, so we're doing pretty well. So we'll just kind of do our checklist, descent checklist. Usually do it about 10 minutes out, but we'll do it now. It's nice and easy. Field elevation, again the HondaJet I have checked, 72 feet, which is exactly right. No engine anti-ice. It's if we have a quick look at the outside air temperature, it's minus 22 up here, but that's fine, within the limits. And when we start to come down on our top of descent, we'll do the altimeters, which I drastically got wrong. It is higher over here, which I completely forgot. So I think our transition altitude over here, which I did have up again. I'm trying to work my way around Navigraph because there's a lot now. Try and get you in, but it's about 16,000 feet, I think it was over here. So let's just double check. Elevation, yeah, it's fine. Transition altitude was 13,000 feet. So it's our TA. So when we pass that, we'll go to the local, flip that across, start to come down. So yeah, near the top of the descent, 2 or 3 minutes out, I'll come back and we'll get going down and work out for the approach. See you in a sec. Okay, so we're coming up to the top of descent. Again, everything's kind of in managed mode right now, so again, I am no professional with this, but I'm learning it bit by bit. There's a lot of great help with the FlightFX team. The Discord channel is really helpful. You've got a really wealth of knowledge on there, not just from the developers, but from other users. Real world pilots are in there as well, so it's worth checking them out. It's worth every penny. They also do a couple of others as well, so a couple of other aircraft, and some of the development team are it's just right. It had its quirks at the start, but I really do enjoy it. And I've always wanted something like, I've always wanted a BizJet in flight sim that apart from the Embraers, the 175s or the 195s, they're great, but this is just that step down, which is, I mean, in the real world as well. I mean, again, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and some of the real world flying in this thing is just incredible to watch. So highly worth every penny if you want to kind of make that step up from GA to something just a little bit more fun. And the Garmin system, yes, it's a bit of a learning curve. And I mean, I started back in the day on the big jets, with the full blown MCUs, the Airbus. I was thrown right in, and I only learnt 20% of that. So to step to this is actually quite good fun. I mean, I've maybe over the next couple of flights that I do, and I jump on this just as an ad hoc basis for the channel. I might go through some of this stuff. So if anyone wants to see anything else, or again, there's already lots out there anyway. It's saturated. I do this for fun for myself anyway. But anyone wants to see any flights or any more in-depth stuff, just let us know in the comments. More than happy to do it. So yes, top of the descent's coming up in about 4 minutes, so we'll dial back the altitude. Tend to take it all the way down to the basically the ILS and the glide slope capture. It's pretty managed all the way down, and we'll do it on a vertical nav descent, and it should pretty much start taking us down nice and easy. We're a little bit away out at the minute, so I think it's going to be a steady descent, which is quite nice. Keeping an eye on that transition altitude when we come up to it to make sure we're sticking to the local pressure. We'll do that as well. And yeah, again, the HondaJet is extremely managed, so hopefully it pretty much does all the work for us coming down. But again, I've never really flown over this side in the sim, and it's been fun to try something else, because I may break out the GA aircraft. I've just recently purchased the SR22T. I say purchased, I upgraded to the premium deluxe version. So that looks really good fun. I get a couple of real world YouTubers I follow use it. So right, we're coming up. So we'll dial back the altitude down here. So we'll bring that back all the way down to 3,000. I'll tell you, actually it's 2.8 actually is the capture there. So, and hopefully if I just push the VNAV button there, this goes green, so it's active, and it would basically say vertical track when it's coming to start to descend in a second. You can see that vertical altitude is in green and the path is in white. That means it's a standby, so when it activates that will go green, and we should start to descend as soon as we start to go down. So I did have one slight problem on the last, because I took this out just on a whim at the weekend just to try it out, and I had a problem with the auto throttle, but I think that was me activating an approach the wrong way around and had to wiggle the because I'm using the Thrustmaster, so it didn't like me. But we'll see how we go today. You get to a certain point, you'll take it in manually anyway. It's much more fun instead of coming all day, because it's not. I don't think it's fully Cat 3 this thing, so you have to. It can line you up, get you down to about 1,000 feet, and then it's all yours from there, which is quite nice. So we've got 2 minutes to go, and we'll see what happens.
Vertical track.
there's a vertical track warning 1 minute out from top of descent. So that worked. Hooray. Let's hopefully start to go down. Saying that, just having a quick look around why I just said a minute ago that I couldn't get it into speed mode. It's this one up here. I've just noticed what I didn't do on my last flight. So speed select, FMS obviously follows what the FMS does. I didn't flip this to manual. And so when I was trying to pull back the throttles and trying to set my speed, which I like to do on manual so I know it's done, so I can quickly take over without disconnecting the autopilot, and I still use that auto throttle. Yes, that'll be why. What a noob. 10 seconds to go. There's a waypoint here with my surname. It's not Dobbo, it's Dobson, but that's what my nickname is. Here we go. So we're starting to come down now. So we're looking about 30 minutes, basically, to where we need to get to. Everything's being controlled by the auto throttle, the vertical path. It can sync quite well, this thing, so we can get down. So we just got to keep on that, keep an eye on that transition. Altitude, which was, if anyone wants to remind me, I don't know why I said that because no one's going to talk to me because it's a recording. 13,000 feet. We need to go to local. So we should glide down. So we are coming down the whole west coast now. If I quickly pop over to the iPad. So we are tracking the west coast now. So we went over, and we're going to come all the way up, then come inland and do a swing around to runway 23. Weather's not changed down there, which is good, so it's still valid. Be quite nice sights coming over here, actually. See what the scenery is like by default. I haven't got any paid scenery on this at the minute. I'm just using the defaults. It's always tempting to see some of the RBX stuff that comes on, and again, where I don't fly it a lot, I'm usually in the UK doing a lot of GA and just poking around there. That's where I usually invest my money. So, but out here, it's yeah, it's maybe worth doing if we're going to do this a bit more. I think, yeah. So again, I purchased the SR22 premium deluxe upgrade with some extra bells and whistles in there not long ago. So I really want to kind of get behind that. My UK around the outside tour, I started in my PA20. Was that PA20? Yeah, it was PA28. Which was quite good fun. But I've also been doing a couple of things with the Cessna 172 with some of the Flight Sim 2 mods on there. So there's plenty to go around and play with. But I think bringing in that Cirrus SR22 would be quite good fun on my around the outside tour. My next leg on there is between Bournemouth and Shoreham, which is Shoreham's close to my hometown. So quite looking forward to doing. I did some real training down there, which yeah, I'm going to hopefully do again soon and pick it up, but time will tell. Yeah, okay. So we'll get to transition. We'll pick back up again, and then we'll just do a couple of little checks, just to make sure we're all on track. Yeah, and we'll go from there. I'll see you in a sec. I think just before we get to TA, I'll just kind of poke around here a little bit and show you some of the detail of the aircraft and how well it's modelled. But everything is just, I mean, the HondaJet anyway, as I keep saying, is it's pretty impressive, very electrical, very autonomous. But the devs from Flight FX have really modelled this very well. It's got SimBrief integration with the Navigraph charts as well. I mean, I don't know what everyone else feels about charts in here. It's okay. But you know, it's not real world, and I can't lean my head in. I always have to use my mouse to, you know, to look at the charts. And I'm always doing this up and down. I'm not quick enough doing it. So Track IR can get around that, but I quite like having my charts on my iPad and things like that separate. So, but you do have that. We can also look at things such as the weather, you know, what's going on. We can look at the procedures. Again, the checklist kind of come across on both. We can look up local airports, waypoints, weather at those waypoints and airports. So, and all this is modelled. This works really well. You know, the traffic as well, which is quite nice. We can start to pull apart some of the traffic around the local area and display that. Again, most of it's on the MFD anyway, if we get to that point anyway. Saying that, there is one right there, just to our left, coming up. So let's see if we can see him, shall we? He's 6,500 feet above, so he's not quite there. Keep an eye on that altitude. Yeah, so we've got all that as well. Direct twos, you know, if you're flying on things like VATSIM and you are using ATC, it's great to have the functionality built into it as well. So yeah, it's an all-round, you know, and I've seen some of the guys on Discord and guys and girls on the Discord servers that really kind of bring this out and put it on tablets, so you can have these displays outside of the sim, so you can use them in, you know, physical touch, which is quite nice as well. Yeah, so it's great, absolutely great. And there's so many options that can come in here as well. You can change all the displays, all the settings, how everything works, but it is a bit of a minefield in itself, but it's great. Yeah, definitely, again, recommend doing it. There we go, just that old habit. We've made a slight turn there, so push sync. Just keep that header bug in the middle. I got that off another YouTuber who was oh, I can't remember his name now. I have to come back, but he was doing some stuff on the CRJ model, which was, again, it's a beast to fly. If you ever get to fly, it's really good fun to fly, but a lot more manual, no auto throttle, so there's a lot more manual work with it. But yeah, every time he moved, it was header select, so it's kind of stuck with me all over these years. Okay, passing flight level 190, so we're getting there, down to 130. We'll pass there, and then we'll just do again a couple of final checks to make sure we're all kind of lined up and ready to go. Yeah, so and we'll go from there. Okay, we're coming up to TA. So when we pass that, we'll put it back into local, and we'll do a little cheeky B. I've used that since day one, just to set the local settings. Sometimes I'll do it manually, depending on what mood I'm in. It's a full life. And there we go. So we've passed that. So we'll go back to local, and we'll do it on the standby as well. And we'll just push B, and there we go. 3004 hectopascals. So we're on the local TA now. So we can tick that one off on the list. And we go to the approach checklist. So we're coming up now. So 10,000 feet will be our landing lights. So seats and signs adjusted and secure. I've had a word with them. I sat in there, pretty chill. Passenger briefing's complete. Didn't really listen, but they went for it. Cabin signs is required. Avionics is set. Our landing data. So again, just to check here, we have two things we really need to do. One, set our speed bugs for our VREFs for landing, so I know exactly, you know, and it works it out from the sim for me. But there's something else as well, I believe. If I cannot find it, can't remember where it is. Not the exterior lights. Sim options. Nope. It is utilities. There we go. I've already done this pre top down. So minimums, I've just done barrel reference 200 feet. That's my standard. I could probably look at the charts, but going on the radio is 200 fine. I'll be taking it in manually anyway. Kind of gives me a bit of a warning. The other thing we do is set our speed bugs. So we go into speed bugs. We look at our landing, and we'll get from sim just to update them close, because we are closer now, and we'll put them to on. And what that does, there we go, we've got our reference speed there. So auto AP and RF, so that's our reference. So 108. So I'll probably go, we've got a nice little headwind, which should be okay. So I'll just 2 or 3, maybe 5 knots above that. We'll aim for 110. We'll go bang in the middle of our reference. But we've passed 10,000 now, so it's 250 or below. So it's already done for me. So landing date is set. Just the other one to check as well. landing field elevation 72 feet. This matches the charts. I already checked it as we come round. So that's again HondaJet, nice and auto for you. CAS messages, nothing on here, so we're clean. Approach briefing's complete, and our next thing is our flaps. So our flaps usually first stage is below 180. So when we hit 180, I'll set one stage of flaps, and then I'll judge it as I go down. Usually about maybe 130 will be full flap before we go down to our ref. So as long as it's, we'll leave that there. So we're coming down nice now. So what we'll do when we come down and we go to track the localizer and glide slope, I'll pretty much turn this button here from FMS, and then we'll change it to localizer, because all the ILS frequencies are plumbed in for us down here already. HondaJet does that for me. In the radios, our nav 1 and nav 2, and we can switch them on if we want to, so we can listen to what's going on, but you don't need to if you don't need to. But yeah, it's already set straight from the charts, which is quite nice. So we should be all good to go, and then we'll basically hit the approach button, and it should bring us down. Hit the glide scope, bring the ILS, and go from there. And then I said roundabout when we get, I don't know, 500 feet, I'll take the auto throttle off, I'll go to manual, may even do that maybe 1,000 feet. It's all judgment at that point, and we'll take it down manually. It's a bit more fun that way. So I don't think you can land this thing fully on a Cat 3 like for some of the big birds. Might be wrong, tell me if I'm wrong. But we're actually now, we're coming in now, so just out to our left through the wonderful cloud is Auckland. So all that over there is Auckland. So have a quick look around. Just can't see it, of course. The scenery, which is just about here, would be a lovely view. We can't see it. Thank you, Mr. Weather. Okay. Speed's coming back and adjusting as per the restrictions in the flight plan. So if we look on the flight plan here, we've got some restrictions: 240 knots, 220, 210. So it will adhere to these. And we've obviously got our flight levels as well. So 4,000 feet, 3,000 feet. The VNAV does a really good job. I know they've really worked hard on it as well. When it first came out, the amount of complaints were crazy, but yeah, they work really well on it, so all works nicely. And then when I basically get to turn final here, I'd just like to zoom on a little bit more here so we can see where we're going. So we'll when we turn final and line up with the runway, which is again over here somewhere, can't see it at the minute because of the cloud, we will bring down those flaps, and I'll probably take it into manual speed selection, which is quite nice. I like having the control directly from the autopilot from that point. And we're coming back again now to the next reference point, 210. You see this here. So 200, I'm pretty certain that's flap stage 1. Gee, I might be wrong. I'll use that as my reference point anyway when I hit 210. So it should start to turn now. Okay, now when we start to come around, glide slope's starting to move. The ILS is starting to move, so I'll flip that across to lock 1, localizer 1, and I'll hit the approach button. Turns into roll, localizer and glide slope should become established. And now what I'll do, we'll start to bring back that speed. So go into manual, made that mistake before. IAS, start to bring it down. Let's go for 160. Go for 170 now. Take that off, and we go. Okay, so in one stage of flap now. slightly moved the throttles more than I should have done there. Completely overshot the localizer. Something went wrong there, and I believe it was probably me. So, gone into roll mode there. We shouldn't have done so. Let's bring out the autopilot.
Autopilot.
Should not have happened. Why did that move? Right. Let's try that again. We're going to come back round. It's going so well. I think it was probably because it was quite a sharp turn at the end, so it didn't like it, which is fair enough. So I'm just flying it, hand flying it at the minute. Teach me for taking the eye off the ball, playing with the speed rather than looking at the localizer. That's what happens. And the glide slope, right. Well, that was a bit eventful, but we are where we are. Let's let it all settle. Start to bring the speed back a little bit now. Add some speed brakes to bring us back. There's our flap 2, so we can go full flap there. Coming and crabbing in a little bit, so you see the the wind is coming from the northwest in a minute, so we are crabbing like crazy. The weather did update, but we're well high, so let's bring it down. I'm just going to do this manually.
Autopilot.
I'm not too sure what's going on, but as long as I can control my speed, it's fine. See if we can sing this down a bit. I'm going to crab this in. The wind is really quite strong down here, I presume because it's right on the water. Don't want to break that 150. Let's bring the gear down for some extra drag.
2000.
So landing gear's down, our speed brake is, we're still using it at the minute.
1000.
Our flaps are set, airspeed's almost at VREF. And the yaw damper is currently on. I need to turn that off. This is off there. And there's that deviation.
$500. $400.
We've got plenty of runway.
$300.
It's okay.
$200. $100. $50. $30. $10. $5.
And there we go. Shallow brakes. I think we can go off here. So, a little bit eventful at the end there. I'm not too sure what happened. I think again it was that tight turn. It didn't like picking up the ILS, and then the glide slope went a bit skew-whiffed. So it's fine. We're still down in one piece. So we'll just head across now. But in doing that, we can clean up the aircraft, flaps up, speed brake up. Okay. So cabin signs are fine. Engine anti-ice, don't need that. Speed brakes now retracted. Flaps I've pulled up, and there's the trim. We'll set the trim back to 4 so we don't have to do that again when I log on. Let's find a space. Looks the posh area down here, so we're going down here. We'll just swing it around. Yeah, we'll just dump everyone here. Why not? Okay. Parking brakes on. So, parking brakes set. Wheel chocks installed. Don't need them at the minute. Engine anti-ice is off. External power. At the minute we can flip that on when it comes on, and we cut off the engines. So we'll pull both back. We should see the decrease in throttle there. There we go. Cabin signs, again we can come into here. This is the wrap up stuff now, and we can go seatbelts off, and then we can open up the external doors, which is quite nice. So the main door, the rear door, the front door. Put the static elements on as well, so that's your chocks on the outside, which I'll have a look in a second. Oxygen supply we pull out again. Park and brake release, we'll keep that on because there's no chocks there, they work very well, and we basically turn the battery off and everything shuts itself down. So on the outside it's pretty much cleaned up and ready for the next flight. Well, I know that last bit was a bit eventful. Again, I think what had happened is it was a bit too much of a sharp turn at the end there, and I took my eye off the ball when I was looking at the speed. I was trying to, again, the problem I had with the speed before was a bit rudimentary, and I was quite happy I got it to work again. So with my kit, so I took my eye off the ball, and before you know it, we're going into that roll mode. It's important to realise that you know the PFD and all the displays will tell you what you're doing and where you're going to go next. So it looked like it was going to do it. I think next time, I think maybe just heading mode, just to, you know, pull yourself in a little bit easier. So thanks for watching. I know this is an ad hoc one. I fancy doing a flight after long day at work, just kind of a bit of escapism. I'm hoping to kind of grab back onto my UK around the outside tour soon, again with this Cirrus SR22. If you like it, you know, give me a thumbs up. Tell me what I can improve on. If you fancy coming along for some flights sometimes, I'm based in the UK, usually around evening times and weekends. I've got some time free if you fancy joining. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Cheers, bye.
Dead or alive, you are coming with